I think my welcome to the agent business moment was when one of my clients told me he was going to beat my ass.
Okay.
When one of my clients told me he was going to beat my ass, I'm not going to say any names.
No names needed.
But, a client had a meeting, and I called him, and it was the meeting time had already passed, and he was taking his time, and I said, hey, man, you got to be more professional. You're still at the house, And he said, do you know who you're talking to? I'll beat your ass. I said, wait a second, bro. I'm too old to be fighting. I'm a grown man, bro. I'm not fighting you. It's not happening. I'm 50-something years old.
Uno, dos, tres! What's up, everybody? I'm Peanut Tillman, and this is the NFL Players Second Acts podcast. And with me, as always, as my trusty co-host, Roman Harper. I got nothing.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad I changed it up.
He swapped out his shirt on me because the other one got a little musty. He stink, but he put a new clean shirt on. I stomped me out.
I stomped you out for the first time. I gotta admit, and that hardly ever happens. But I'm really excited about our next guest. This highly successful brother right here, man. He's won a lot. Really want to look back and ask him a lot of questions and dive into not only his college career, his professional career, and now his post career as well, where he's really killing it. We're also good to hear a little bit more about his charity and his foundation work that he's doing here in the city of Miami. So go ahead, Peanut.
11-year vet. He won the Super Bowl 2 times.
Twice.
He won 2 national championships at the University of Miami. He is the president of Rosenhaus Sports, and he is the president of the Kennedy Kids Foundation, and he also hosts a podcast called Bailey and Buck. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the pod, Mr. Robert Bailey.
Yeah. Thank you. Wonderful to be here. The Uno, Dos, Tres intro is indicative of being in Miami, so I could appreciate it.
Well, we was talking about Scarface, so I had to speak a little Espanol, or I don't know if I really spoke it. I just had to say a couple things in Spanish.
It was good enough. It was good. You did a good job.
How is your Spanish? Can you?
Not too good. My wife is Venezuelan, and she's constantly trying to get me to get better with my Spanish.
If she gets mad at you, does she speak Spanish?
No.
None of that?
She just speaks cuss. And that's a whole nother language. Maybe not for this podcast, but maybe for a private moment.
Absolutely.
She speaks cuss.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, she speaks cuss.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And you know what, Peanut? I got to be honest. That was a great intro. Like,
it was.
He's not always. I mean, like, you're pretty good, but I thought that was great.
Thank you for telling me all my other intros were terrible.
That's not what I said, but I thought that one was great.
Yeah.
Robert, tell me about this though, man. Early on in your life, so you moved from Barbados to Miami when you were a young man, 9 years old.
Yeah.
8, 9, somewhere around there.
9 years old.
What was that like, and how did it impact like the change of culture? What did it do for you? How did you have to change?
Well, coming from Barbados, it's an island in the West Indies, and coming in to Miami and seeing the game of football for the first time in this country was, I was like, what the hell is that? Or, what kind of ball is that? And just, kind of integrating into the community, my family, and experiencing racism for the first time in my life. I was like, what is the end?
Because everybody was the same in Barbados.
In Barbados, everybody is, it's really one race, even though there's white and black Bajans, there's Trinidadians, there's all different cultures, but no one, you can see a white person and they have dreadlocks. So people didn't really separate themselves based on the color of their skin in the islands. We're all the same. You either a Rasta or not. That's basically the difference, really. But coming to the U.S. and Miami and experiencing racism in elementary was really it had a huge effect on me, and it was traumatic. But obviously, I'm now a Floridian. I've been living here my whole life through all the sports achievements and seasons. I come back here and I consider this my home. And I'm into politics now more than ever. But it's been a good place for me. I enjoy Florida. It's my home. I go back to Barbados every now and then, but Florida's now my home.
I want to talk about the 80s and living in Miami in the 80s. What was that like being at the University of Miami and winning 2 national championships?
University of Miami was it was one of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
So when you grow up during those times in the early 80s, college football on TV, first of all, you didn't have that many channels. So the knowledge of all the different college teams around the country, you didn't get it, right? I went to University of Miami basically just because it was the closest school to home. I didn't pick them because they were a great football team.
Could you have gone anywhere else?
I could have gone anywhere else, and it just would have had, it would have just been a feeling. For instance, I was in the Florida-Georgia All-Star game. I was highly rated, but I took a trip to Indiana because my best friend in high school was playing football there. So I turned down other schools to take a trip to Indiana.
Like you were going to ever go that far away?
Just because my boy was there.
Yeah.
I get off the plane and it's so cold. I said, I'm not coming here, bro. It's too cold.
Who that sound like?
And just because of the weather. And at the end, I just went to University of Miami because I was close to home. I was a mama's boy. I get there, and I don't know who Michael Irvin is. I don't know who Alonzo Highsmith is, or none of these great, amazing players. I just get there, and in my head, I'm the best football player on the team because I was the best at every level. And the benefit is there was no intimidation for me. I ended up playing on a football team that had amazing players, but in my eyes, I didn't know who they were. And so when I went out to practice, I played as though I was the best player on the field. And just to give you a story, Jimmy Johnson would separate the guys. The freshmen go to the freshman field and everybody else come to this field because the freshman field were the guys that were probably going to be, redshirted. And so I was devastated. I was like, why am I not playing with the rest of the team?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm just going to punish these dudes over here. And after one day of practice, by the next day, he sends all the freshmen. He says, Robert Bailey, you come over to this field. And I was one of, I think, me and Randall Hill at the time, you may not know that name, a receiver. We were the only freshmen to really not get redshirted, and I was a starting nickel for that team. And it was really just because I wasn't intimidated because I didn't know anybody.
Right.
So it worked out good for me.
So my next question for you right now is, you won 2 national championships, played on some amazing teams. Mm-hmm. 2001 Miami Hurricanes, another great team. I know they didn't win it, but arguably a lot of people say it was the greatest college football team ever assembled.
Right.
How would you rank the 2001 and then pick one of the 2 teams that you won if you guys were to go head to head?
For me, the answer comes down to how many guys were drafted at what round from each team, and how did their NFL career go? We got a lot of great players that I played with, but I don't think we have the amount that they had.
Gotcha.
We probably had, I played with Michael Irvin. I played with, Jimmy Jones and just, just a ton of great players. I can't even go through in my head how many great players, Brett Perriman and a bunch of different guys that got drafted high and played for many, many years. But I think the 2001 Miami team had more guys, even though we had the guys that came out during my time were at the top. They just had a more variety of guys.
They also had bench guys that also that they all claim.
Right. They played.
Yeah. They claimed 100%.
Yeah. I claimed Jimmy Jones. He played behind Russell Maryland and still had an NFL and got drafted in the second round. Never started at University of Miami, but still got drafted in the second round.
It's crazy.
And had an incredible career. That's probably the only player I could really claim that did not start that had him. But the 2001 team had guys that didn't start and were stars.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like were bona fide stars. You go through all the running backs and all the tight ends and and so I just think that I have to give it to them based on the amount of great players they had. Now, if we played a football game, I think we would have beat the 2001 team because of the mentality that we had also. We created that mentality, and I think we were just there were dogs. Let's hypothetically say they had 5 pit bulls in the yard. We had 6, right? So I would say we would win, but to say what team is better with everything that everybody had done leaving the University of Miami, the draft, I would probably give it to the 2001 team.
So this is maybe not always about football, but it's more about, you said how like just growing up, the way you grew up here in Miami, like you weren't intimidated about anything.
Right.
Because you've been the best on the field. And
100%.
So, like that was just your mentality.
Right.
And growing up in Miami in the 70s, I assume.
Right.
Like that was like Miami was quote unquote, it didn't look like what it looked like now. Correct?
Right. 100%.
It was like
late 70s for me.
Okay. But we didn't have as many tall buildings.
Right.
You didn't have all the other stuff. It was more then, you know, we've all seen the movies, the Cocaine Cowboys and all that other stuff. Yeah. But like, how did that influence this place? Like, how did that influence you at all? Because I know you probably didn't see any of this stuff, but
no, I saw a lot of.
Oh,
stuff.
You did?
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff. I've been in
because it was everywhere.
I've been in a lot of situations where, by the grace of God, I'm here. You know what I mean? I've had friends that messed around. You're in middle school, you're in high school. Friends, fathers are in the business selling drugs. So they got their little business on the side of selling little bags of cocaine, and you see it, and it's different times. You see a high school kid with a brick phone, you know what I mean, and wearing silk shirts, which was like how you identify yourself as like, I know I got the stuff, you know what I mean. You got a silk shirt. I've seen a lot. It was prevalent, and but. You know, the one thing I can say is sports was king in Miami, and a lot of the drug dealers would protect the athletes, right? So if you were in a situation that they thought was, hey, this potentially could be dangerous, they'd say, hey, listen, young man, we're gonna go over here, you guys go over there. You know what I mean? They would always protect the athletes, and because football, man. Football is everything in Miami, from little league to to high school to college. These guys are betting on little league games. It's tough. Yeah, it's crazy. So they protected us in a way. A lot of the drug dealers protected us. So that was a huge blessing for some kids that ended up playing football, having a career in football, and being pushed to continue football because these guys cared about us as athletes.
Giovanni Bernard talked about how even when he was in Little League, he heard about all the people betting money on games.
Oh yeah,
Little League.
It was big time.
That really happens, dude. It was all the time. It's very normal here
in Miami. You'd have usually after a Little League game, one of the drug dealers would shoot off a gun, and the reason he's shooting the gun is because he lost. And he's in the parking lot, and the game's over, and he's just pissed. So he shoots a gun. Everybody clears out. The police come. He leaves, and it's just because they lost a big bet, and it's on a little league game.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Tell me this though, and how true is it? When you were at the University of Miami, you wanted to go to medical school.
Yeah.
And so, what were you trying to get your degree in? And then at what point you're like, you know what? Yeah, I think I want to do this NFL thing instead.
Well, that's a great question. So at no point did I want to play in the NFL. At no point. None. At no point and let me rephrase that. At no point was the NFL my goal.
Okay.
So my father's a doctor. My brother's a doctor. My other brother is a dentist. My niece is a doctor.
Very smart, successful family.
So whole family. You know, when you're in the West Indies, you're pushed to either do something in the medical area or attorneys. So my father was was a doctor, and so following the same line that everybody else is doing, I wanted to be a doctor, and so I got a degree in chemistry, and I got my Bachelor of Science, and it was my senior year, and the team start coming in, start wanting to meet, wanted to train you, wanted to, not train you, but get you on the field and do the testing and all that kind of stuff. And then before you know it, everyone's saying, hey man, you're going to get drafted, and you're probably going to be, fourth rounder, fifth rounder, whatever the case may be. And I said, okay, so let's see what happens. And then I got drafted, and my mother was like, okay, play a year or two and then let's go back to school and finish doing, medical school. Let's go to medical school. And so I was like, all right, yeah, that's going to be the plan. And 11 years later, now an agent, the course, God took me on the course that he wanted me to be on, and I'm on this course. I never went back. I never went to medical school. I've been an agent now 26 years, 11 years in the NFL, and it's been a blessing to my family. I absolutely love football, and I appreciate football being, the journey that God put me on to help other young men try to reach their goals, and it's been a blessing for my family.
So you've made it to the NFL. You're doing your thing. What was Robert Bailey's welcome to the NFL moment?
What was my welcome to the NFL moment? So there's you want to know the good or the bad?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
BOFE.
Okay.
Both.
No, BOAF.
Both. Okay.
Both.
Okay, both. All right.
Alabama
I think
education.
BOOF is boof. So I think he's right. I got to go with him. Both is BOAF. But, okay, so the good was my first interception was for a touchdown. It was against Jerry Rice. And I was covering him. He ran a hook route. And, the quarterback kind of like held the ball a little bit. I jumped it, intercepted the ball, took it in for a touchdown.
Young has the pass picked off by Robert Bailey.
And that was my first interception for a touchdown. After the game,
they
interviewed me, and I was a little cocky.
Just a little.
I was playing for the Rams. They're in our division. That was the first game. I was a little cocky. I said a few things I shouldn't have said. I heard about it on the plane home from my coach.
It already got back to him that fast?
It got back to my DB coach that fast. And by the second game that we played him, I was injured. Jerry went off for 200 yards, almost 200 yards. He comes up to me after the game and he says, "You're lucky you didn't play. That was supposed to be for you." So apparently they had meetings about getting me back for what I said. The bad one was I was playing for the Rams, obviously, same year. We were playing Minnesota. I remember the receiver is Jake Reed, the receiver.
I remember Jake Reed.
Yeah, big dude. It was a run play. I'm not even paying attention. I'm running to the ball. My head's not on the swivel. He hits me, he blindsides me so hard that my head hit the ground before any other part of my body. And I was so out of it But when I came to, all I did for the rest of the game was look for where he was to get him back. I never got him back. And I promise you guys, for the next 10 years of my career, I just looked for him. Every season, I would check what roster is he on, because I was determined to get him back, and I never got him back. And that is one of those moments that will always be a memory for me in football, that I just constantly looked for a team that he was on and checked to see if they were on our schedule to get him back, because he
got you good.
He got me good.
Yeah, but like, so is it on site still? Like, if I see Jake,
nah.
Like, are we ready?
I'm 57, man. I'm 57. I got arthritis in my back. If I hit something hard enough, I'm gonna get hurt. Man. I let all that stuff go, man.
Good.
I let a lot of that stuff go. So
Good. All right.
good.
The other question I would like to know, we'll ask you about is, I mean, you're an NFL record holder.
Yeah.
That will probably never be broken.
Right. It won't be broken because they changed the rule.
Oh yeah. Because like once it hits,
once it goes into the end zone, now they blow a whistle. They blow the whistle.
Yeah.
Explain what's happening right now.
So I see the ball. You see, I'm watching the ball. I know that as long as it doesn't stop, I'm good. I was a player that knew every rule in the book. I studied every rule. So they're punting the ball into, to a short field, and sometimes they like to pooch punt it. So I was the up returner in case they try to pooch punt it.
Yeah.
So if it came to me, I'm supposed to catch it. If it went over my head, I'll let the guy behind me catch it. If he catches it and runs, I block. If it went over his head, we're supposed to let it go. But I'm just constantly watching the ball there. I know the rule. So you see, I start picking up my pace, and it just happened to be on our side of the field. They're starting to walk off, and I run it back. Now we were losing. So I decided
to take a risk.
If that's the first quarter of the game, I wouldn't have done that, because if I get tackled inside the 20, I may not be asked to get back on the plane, right? One of those deals. But it worked out, and when I got back to the bench, one of the staff came up to me and said, "That was a record. That was a record that you just broke." And the funny thing, guys, I wasn't even supposed to be at that game. I found out on the way to the stadium that my son was being born. And so he was born on that day. And I asked my wife, should I come home? She was in labor. The team was willing to send me home. And she said, just play the game and then just, come home, because I'm in labor, but they're telling me it could take hours. So I said, okay, I'm going to come home right after the game. And so I break that record. My son is born during the game. I then leave the game. I go on the plane, come home to Miami, meet my first son, Corey Bailey, and that was a special moment. So the record was special, but because it was on my son's birthday, it goes down as one of my most memorable moments in my life.
I like that. That's a great story.
Yeah.
All DBs here.
Congrats.
We did a lot of covering of the receivers. I think Hall of Fame Marvin Harrison, Hall of Fame Randy Moss, Hall of Fame Calvin Johnson. Those are my top 3 receivers that I had to cover, that just gave me supreme difficulty trying to cover these guys. All 3 of these guys.
Who was your 3?
So I got Calvin Johnson, in no particular order.
Right.
Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss, and Marvin Harrison. Hall of Fame Marvin Harrison. Sorry, guys. I meant to give you your HOF in front of their names. That's their title. Who is your top receiver that you had to cover?
A receiver that I thought could catch a touchdown on me 1 out of every 3 tries was, I played a part of my career, I played for Detroit. Mm-hmm. So I played against Randy twice a year. And I thought Randy was so good. I said, if they even knew that he would catch the ball 1 out of 3 times on me for a touch, if he just ran 3 go routes, he's going to catch 1 every 3 times. I said, if they knew that, they would just throw the ball, because he was so fast. His gait was so long. When I'm running, I'm quick. but I'm not super fast.
Yeah.
For every maybe 5 steps, all he took was 2 steps. I just thought his stride and his reach was second to none. And so for me, I played against Jerry Rice. Now, granted, Jerry was maybe on the back end of his career a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so I just felt like Randy was definitely faster than Jerry, and Randy went up for the ball.
Yeah.
Jerry, if you really watch a lot of Jerry's catches, you don't really see him going up for the ball. He's always catching the ball running towards the end zone. Randy jumps up for the ball, and there was nothing I could do. I'm 5'10". Again, if the quarterback throws the ball in the right position 1 out of every 3 tries, he would score every time. And so Randy's 1, 2, and 3 for me. I played against a lot of great receivers. Michael Irvin was also great, and I played against him in college. In practice, but he was also, he had developed into something else in the NFL. Yep. Yeah, I think he had went another level, but I still put Randy as in my mind, one of the greatest receivers, or the greatest receiver that I had ever experienced in my career. I just thought he was just amazing. I talked to the safety, hey, get my back. Every play that, hey, man, Randy's over here. I'm looking at the safety. I'm pointing at Randy. Is just.
I was teammates with guys who played safety, and they were literally like, dude, when young Randy Moss was in the league, like literally you had to have a safety over the top of the corner.
Exactly.
Or it was like no chance.
There's no chance.
He was running literally slapped by everybody. And you put another guy back there just hoping the quarterback wouldn't throw it.
Right.
Because if he threw it, he still might catch it.
If you watch the New England Randy Moss, there were times that Tom Brady threw the ball and Randy was double covered. Many times.
Yes.
And he still caught the ball. Many times, like a lot of throws that Tom Brady threw him, Randy was not open. But Randy attacked the ball. They had a great they had great chemistry together. Yeah. I thought Randy and Tom Brady had the best chemistry in his career. No slight to any of the Minnesota Viking quarterbacks. I just thought they had great chemistry, and Randy played harder with Tom. I just thought he played harder for Tom.
I would agree.
And a lot of the balls, if you go watch, they're contested by a safety in the corner, and Randy always beat him.
Get that hand.
Yeah. Hence, Moss in him.
That hot hand.
Yeah. All right, so you won 2 Super Bowls. You were blessed enough to do that. Which was your favorite? Was it with the Cowboys where they beat the Steelers 27-17, or Super Bowl 35 when you were with the Ravens?
So they're both a little bit different.
Okay.
The Ravens, we had the best defense.
Bar none.
In the history of the game.
Yes, bar none.
Let's just put that out there. I think.
Better than 85 Bears?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you go look at how many points allowed.
Yeah. You weren't even on the team, Peanut.
Can somebody look up how many points were allowed from the time the season started to the Super Bowl? I think we allowed 165 points total from the beginning to the end. I don't think the Bears had that.
Okay.
And so in my mind, I think it's about points scored allowed.
Absolutely, yeah.
So to determine whether you're the best, if you're the best defense, you're not going to allow many points. We goose-egged many teams.
Yeah.
There were a few teams that didn't get past the 50.
You act like I'm offended by this. I wasn't on the team in 85. I didn't say us in the 85 Bears. I said even the 85. I'm not a part of the 85 Bears.
100%.
I'm just like, okay, cool.
So in that regard, I played on the greatest defense in the history of football, and I respect that team. We had an amazing run. The tough part is that we didn't have a good offense, so the defense won the Super Bowl. Our offense just managed. We had Trent Dilfer. who was he was smart at managing the game and knew not to put us in a bad position. But the Cowboys was just special.
Yeah.
We had Michael Irvin.
Yep.
We had Deion Sanders. We had Emmitt Smith.
Ken Norton Jr. came back.
We had Troy Aikman. We had that year the entire offensive line went to the Pro Bowl. The entire offensive line, including the tight end, was at the Pro Bowl. I think we broke the record for the amount of Pro Bowlers. The season was electrifying. Every time we went anywhere, we were like rock stars with cameras and lights and action. And coming home, it was just like the entire season was like being with the Beatles.
Yeah.
If to give you a comparison, it's like being with the Beatles and coming off the plane and going to the stadium and performing and get back. When I was with the Ravens, it was more like showing up to town to demolish a building, right? They're calling the A-team to come in. There's a building. We come in with hard hats. We're the best team that knows how to demolish this building without damaging the buildings around. That's how I look at both of these teams. So I would, I had the most fun with the Cowboys. But I respect the greatness of our defense at the Ravens.
I'm gonna talk about injuries. I think my last play, I was in Carolina, I was running to the ball. No one touched me. I just tore my ACL and just boom. That was my last play. So you're playing with the Ravens. You're playing against the Lions in 2001, Thanksgiving Day. Talk to us about the injury that happened on that play.
Let's go back some years. Some years back, I was with the Rams and I was playing against Washington. I can't remember. Brian Mitchell was running the ball and I was coming up to make a tackle. He was a running back and I hit him with my head on his thigh. He's a big boy. And I'm trying to hit him in his legs, but his thigh comes up and hits me in my head. And I literally feel my neck. Your neck has a curvature in it. I literally feel it like go the other way. And I run off the field holding my neck. And I say to the trainer, I said, man, I think I broke my neck. I think something happened with my neck. This is probably in the early 90s. He told me, get your ass back in the game. We'll deal with this another time. So I went back in the game and I played, but I knew I did something to my neck. So I kept playing, got back to the facility. They didn't do any MRIs or anything, just kind of played out the season.
Old school.
Old school. Played out the season, but I damaged my neck then. So then I'm in, now I'm at the Lions. I'm playing against the Packers and I make a tackle and I feel my neck do the same thing. But at this point, my arm went numb a little bit and I felt the stinger. And I just laid there. And by this time, now they are doing MRIs and
they're going to come get you now.
Yeah, they stay down.
Times have changed.
Yeah, the times have changed. They come, they get me. I don't even remember. They took me in. I don't remember the rest of the game. They took me to go get an MRI. And the doctor looks at my MRI and says, one tackle and you're going to be paralyzed. I had spinal, whatever they call it, where there's narrowing of the spinal cord and I had 2 bulging discs and a bunch of different things that obviously didn't happen from that one play.
Right.
You don't get narrowing of the spine from one play, right? So that was probably I would say from years earlier and the damage that happened and it's kind of like healed. But yeah, then I started having spasms in my neck and spasms down my arm. And I retired literally that week. I didn't retire, but I stopped playing, and they knew at the end of the year I was going to retire. So they took me they kept me on the roster. I would travel with the team. I would, sit with the guys. I'm now in my I'm now 31 years old. They're already calling me old man, that type of thing.
Well, you were 33.
However I was. And I just remember at the end of the season, telling the guys, retiring, telling the guys thanks. And I'm telling you guys, man, probably for 8 years later, I had issues with my neck and my arms, and it probably took a decade before I started feeling better.
That was literally my next question was like, what was that recovery process like? Time then. If you would
time. It just took.
So there was no surgery, no like, all right, look, I want you to do you retired and was
no
like, that
surgery, just a bunch of injections.
Damn.
To try to get the swelling and the inflammation down. And
that's like old school.
No, sir. And then
ibuprofen, you good?
Oh yeah. And then I became one of those guys that every day I'm cracking my neck trying to get the spasm to stop. And so, and this was after the Reggie Brown broke his neck. Me and him played on the lines, so the attention to the neck injuries. Reggie's a good friend of mine, a linebacker who broke his neck and his career ended on the Lions football field at home. And I was there, on the field with him when the ambulance came. And so when I hurt my neck, they were very much prepared to get me off and take care of me, and they did a great job. I fortunately could walk off, and I didn't walk off. I didn't have to get in an ambulance or anything like that. But yeah, for the next decade, I had a lot of neck issues, and then after about a decade, I started feeling better, where the spasms started to stop coming, and the injections helped. And
so tell me this. So you retire shortly after,
right?
And how do you know, at what point do you start to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do next? Well, because it got forced upon you, and you said it took you a long time to kind of do your recovery process.
Right. So
it's not just physical, it's mental as well.
Right, 100%. So you're talking about the agent, being an agent?
Yes.
Okay, so I retired.
Well, I'm sure. Well, if you want to kind of walk me through that, like
right. So I retired in January, right? Because we weren't even in, we ain't in the playoffs or nothing, right? So I retired in January, and kind of was going through I knew I wasn't going to play again. So 2 months later, around in March, my agent at the time, Drew Rosenhaus, wanted to meet with me and kind of just talk about how you doing, how's the neck, sort of thing. We met, and then him and his brother just asked me, hey man, we love what you've done in football. You're a real cerebral player. You're sociable. You've helped us get guys in the past, and we want you to come work for us and be an agent. Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna take some time now. Maybe I'm gonna go into medicine, right? And so then I said, well, what do you guys, what does this look like? They kind of gave me an overview of how they wanted to expand the agency and how I would fit in. And 5 years later, I became the president of the company, So from that moment, from their offer to, 5 years later, and kind of changing a few things based on my experience as a football player and what the needs of football players are, and having a focus on life after football, and making sure that our guys, we started building that program in our agency to help guys with life after football, helped really change the direction of our agency and helping guys and helping them with their careers. And we really took off as an agency. They were already very good, but I just think that, the relationship of the player agent relationship within our company, I thought that needed to be expanded on. And then, as I mentioned, life after football, helping guys with life after football, being instrumental in that. And it's now 26 5 years as an agent, and we've done a lot of amazing things. We've negotiated over $15 billion in deals. And,
how many?
15 billion.
Okay, with a B.
And yeah,
He said he's at 15. That's that country.
15.
15.
Yeah, 15
I heard it. I'm
deals.
glad you did that.
I just want to throw that.
It kind of slid under this little ugly rug we got.
Make sure we hit that
15
fastball.
billion.
And
I like
by
it.
the way, you guys should do comedy. Like you guys should do comedy. You guys are pretty good, but you should do it as a team.
Yeah,
We're
both of you.
We're definitely a team. So I hosted this podcast by myself, and I was terrible. I was just like,
You need help.
I need help. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not afraid to say I need help. I tried it. I did it.
Yeah.
I failed miserably.
Yeah.
Then I was like, I need Mr. Magoo white haired old guy right here. My work. I don't even want to say work husband. That just sounds weird. Or work wife. But yeah, this is my Ace Boone Coon. This is my guy right here. We get shit done. I appreciate he's my Drew Rosenhaus. This is my Drew Rosenhaus.
A lot of people, we had a lot of debates on, did Bill need Tom? Did Tom need Bill? And I'm a firm believer that Tom wouldn't be Tom without Bill. I don't care what you say. Tom would not be Tom without Bill.
And Bill ain't Bill.
And Bill, as we're seeing today, maybe ain't Bill without Tom.
Yeah.
But
I would agree.
But I believe Tom owes his career to Bill. So Tom did his job, but I believe Bill's influence, which is kind of like you two, right?
Just
As you mentioned,
little sprinkle of influence.
I think you're a good podcaster, and you've given him a lot of credit for helping you become a good podcaster.
Oh, absolutely. He's helped me get my reps because I've seen how Rome started and then how he just kind of transcended.
Right.
And then there were certain things that I just did, but I didn't prepare for as much as him. And then I saw him, I was like,
well, I need to do that.
Yeah, I need to do that. So I've definitely learned from him, and he's giving me some tips and just advice. Like, no, when you do this, bro, do this right here, do this. So now
you sound like me saying, bro.
I know I imitate you. It's you live in my head rent free.
Yeah.
But just listening to him, and I appreciate him. I don't want to say taking me under his wing, but just the stuff that he's learned, because he does studio and live TV all the time. And I'm like, all right, look, check it. You need to eat the mic. All right, so look, your camera is right over here, and then you look over there, and then we got to cut. I'm like, I'm not a rookie to it, but I got you. Yes,
That's
I will.
great.
I will
Teamwork.
listen to you.
Teamwork,
I will listen
man.
to you. I will stay green. I
want to know this because you said in just a short 5 years, but you became president. So like, Drew was my
agent.
And then so you take that, and then like, what did you do to all of a sudden say, you know what, I don't want to be an agent, I want to be the president? Or like, how did that go about?
Well, I'm still an agent. I'm the president of the company, but I'm still an agent. I still do agent duties, but I oversee our different departments and make sure that our different departments are activated.
You the
for our
boss.
players. Right. So Drew is the CEO and the founder of our agency, and Jason Rosenhaus. They're two brothers. So Jason was in college as a CPA.
Yeah.
And becoming a CPA. Drew is at Duke as this, he left University of Miami, went to Duke for law school. While at Duke, he calls Jason and says,
did you know him at Miami?
Yes.
So you guys were friends in Miami?
Jason and I were in class together.
Ah.
I love that you said Jason and I. It's perfect grammar.
And Drew, right. And Drew was a senior when I was a freshman. So as I'm going through University of Miami, Drew then graduates and goes on to Duke. But in his mind, he wanted to be an agent. He was Michael Irvin's tutor. So as Michael Irvin's tutor,
or he was just doing Michael
that
Irvin's
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. But Michael Irvin, because Drew helped him.
Yeah.
Michael Irvin helped Drew become an agent by telling his agent to give Drew an internship.
Ah, I like that.
All right. So not many people know this.
I like
so
that.
Drew then
we didn't.
Goes off to Duke. And for his first year at Duke, he's working with Michael Irvin's agent.
Okay.
Sees some things that he didn't like that the agent was doing. So he decides, I want to break off by myself.
Gotcha.
So while he's in law school at Duke, he registers to become an agent and then starts recruiting Robert Massey, who is a corner that came from, I think, North Carolina's a small school. I'm forgetting. But he recruited Robert Massey, who was drafted to the Saints. And so while Drew was in law school, he negotiates Robert Massey's contract, and ESPN records it and shows it on TV, the actual negotiations.
Okay.
So that's how Drew got started. He gives a lot of credit to Michael Irvin for starting his career.
I like that.
I'm now at University of Miami, coming through University of Miami. Jason has befriended me. So that was his way of recruiting me. But Drew tells Jason, you're no longer going to be an accountant. You're going to be my partner. Jason says, okay. I had Robert Bailey at University of Miami. So then I signed with those guys because, the other agents, I just knew that they were extremely intelligent. Like Drew knows every player in the NFL. He knows their name. He knows what colleges they came from. He knows what round they were drafted.
Does his homework.
He does. And he knows how they got to that team.
I was shocked when he actually, when I met him and he said what's up to me because
he knows everything. And he'll know your background. He knows what school you went. He knows what round. He knows what your pluses and minuses are. So that's what Drew does. Drew has a photographic memory. Jason is a numbers guy. He's a numbers guy. He wrote a book for Jeremy Shockey and Rob Gronkowski. And the first book he wrote, he was a New York Times bestseller. First book. So I picked them just based on their brilliance. They were geniuses. Once I compared them to the other agents that I interviewed with. So I picked them, and I'm now maybe their third or fourth client at this point, and just went through my whole career with them. And they signed Warren Sapp. Obviously, Miami was their hotbed. They were living in Miami. It was a way for them to really grow their agency, and so we became very close. And during my time in the NFL, I helped them get guys while I'm playing. So I'm helping them get guys while I'm playing, and then I retire, and that's when they come to me, and then I start working with them. And 5 years after I started working with them, they made me the president of the company. And so then we started to, I started to build out our marketing, build out our PR, build out our community relations department, life after football. And that's how the agency really expanded. We signed some guys like Tommy Harris, some great players like Tommy. We signed some great players like Wale and some other guys around the league, and it really helped us grow. But my relationship with them was different than Drew's relationship with them, because I'm a former player. I'm talking a lot to these guys about marketing. I'm talking to them about life after football. What do you guys want to do? I was working very closely with the NFLPA and the programs that they had.
They got a lot.
They got a lot of programs. So, and back then they didn't really know how to connect with the players because social media wasn't around. You had the player rep, but other than that,
word of mouth's not always good.
Right. So I was a guy that always spoke to Angela Manolakis. I don't know if you guys remember that name, but it was a lady that was in the union, and she worked on the marketing side of the union. And I would always talk to her about different marketing opportunities and what partnerships the union had with corporate America. And so I would always, for me, the Super Bowl was big. Guys come to the Super Bowl, and I had such a great relationship that I would get special, hey, here's the deal sheet, put your guys in these different, put whoever you want in. So I would fill up the deal sheet, right? So this company is going to be here on, Thursday night before the Super Bowl. They're having a party. They're paying guys $2,000 to show up at this. So I would just add guys into the sheet. because of my relationship.
Right.
I was a big relationship guy. And so that's how I ended up building the agency and kind of, so we ended up, as I mentioned, $15 billion in deals and representing, multiple Hall of Famers. And, Drew is, 50 something years old. And I think he's been in the NFL longer than any general manager in the NFL today. We talk to general managers and they talk about, watching Drew when he was, when they were in college, watching Drew as an agent and reading Drew's book but it came with a lot of hard work. It's a tough business, man. A lot of people think it's just fun and games, going to football games. It's not. You're not there just to watch the game. You're there to watch the player, make sure he doesn't get injured. He gets injured, then you got to get a second opinion. Then you got to call the team. Maybe a guy's got a year or two left on his deal. You're trying to get an extension. All these different things. You're building. You're planting seeds. You're letting the seeds grow. You're sending out emails. You're signing guys. You're signing rookies. You're signing vets. It's a lot to this business if you want to be successful in it. And we have been in it a long time. And there are a lot of agencies that are gone, man. That I remember from back in the day.
Kudos to you all for your hard work and just tenacity of just kind of going through. I definitely know, and I'm having conversations with my agent. So yeah, I definitely remember some of those hardships. What was your welcome to the? Oh shit, I'm in the sports agent world. I just made a mistake. Like what was your
not even a mistake? But
I'm an agent. Like, oh damn, this is the NFL. What happened?
Yes, I love
like, damn, I could have got him 10 million, but I only got him 5. Oops.
No, I got. That was nothing like that. I think my welcome to the agent business moment was when one of my clients told me he was going to beat my ass.
Okay.
When one of my clients told me he was going to beat my ass, I'm not going to say any names.
No names needed.
But a client had a meeting and I called him and it was the meeting time had already passed, and he was taking his time. And I said, "Hey, man, you got to be more professional. You're still at the house, And he said, "Do you know who you're talking to? I'll beat your ass." I said, "Wait a second, bro. I'm too old to be fighting. I'm a grown man, bro. I'm not fighting you. It's not happening. I'm 50 something years old. I think I was 40 something years old." And I said, "Bro, I'm not fighting. That's not happening." And that was my moment when I said, like, these guys really are on another level of and their mentality is not, it's not like the business level. You know what I mean? It's just like, you work for me and it's not what you say, is what I say. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I realized at that moment that I have to, my delivery has to be different moving forward. I have to make them think that they're winning, but I still have to get my point across.
Yeah. Rather
than make them feel like I'm berating them. It's a special ego that NFL players have while we're playing in order to play the game. Right? I'm sure you guys feel like you're a lot calmer now. I think you would say you were different now than you were when you played.
Definitely calmer, for sure.
Yeah. Because when I played, when people talk about different moments that happened in my career, I always say I was a different person back then.
Yeah.
Some of the hits. Now I watch football, I'm like, oh, wow, oh, I did that. Oh, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I just, I just have to, as I'm older and I'm an agent now, and I'm dealing with players now with different egos that are now during this time, social media, because social media also builds up your ego, right? So I'm dealing with a lot of people that have followers and that they feel like they're the man and that they, I should still be getting 20 million. It's no longer about what's on the field. It's about how many followers and how special I am, how many, how influential I am in social media, that they feel this power.
It's a different generation.
So it's a different generation of football players as well.
Different generation. Well, I appreciate you dealing with the riffraffs and the generation, and better you than me, because I couldn't do it. You say you're going to boot my ass, and hey, let's go. I'm a man first, Rome. So when I played, my daughter, she got sick. As a result of that, she had some heart struggles, some heart issues. We started a foundation.
Right.
So I've been running this foundation. We help chronically and critically ill children throughout the greater Chicago area. Rome, when he played, he had a foundation. I remember going to a couple of your things, helping out some kids in the Charlotte area.
Right.
You, sir, have a foundation, and it's called Kennedy Kids.
Yes.
Talk to us, or tell us, why is this foundation so important to you?
This foundation is... it's my life. My daughter's name was Kennedy Bailey. In 2022, she passed from suicide.
Sorry to hear that.
I appreciate it. We as a family, devastation. Not only immediate family, extended family, friends, everyone. My daughter, 15 years old, through this age of social media, internet. Her and her boyfriend broke up. 5 days later, she's gone. She took pills. And so through the dark jungle that puts you through, right? You got to figure a way out. And I decided to spend my time and my energy and those feelings in a positive way. So we started a foundation to help kids with mental health and suicide prevention. Since then, that was in 2022, it's now 2025. We've partnered with Nicholas Children's Hospital. We have a program with them in the summertime to help kids during the summer go to the Nicholas Children's Hospital. It's a summer camp. Instead of the summer camp having regular counselors, they have therapists, right? So they're doing summer camp things, but the people around them are actual therapists that are working with these kids that have gone through the hospital. They were Baker acted, or they just went to the hospital for therapy, and so forth and so on. And then we have other partnerships with Brave or Discovery. These are companies that have therapists. We do events in the community for awareness. It's just, funding. We do events where we're doing different events for funding, raise money because in order to run these programs, you have to have the funds. So we do these programs, we raise funds, we put out, information on suicide prevention, on mental health. And, we've saved over a dozen kids since we started. And it's a very dear organization to me. And I'm extremely, extremely excited for what we got coming in the future. But yeah, it's named after my daughter. And, that's what drives me.
I love that.
Hey, tell me this. I was reading a book this year. I've been reading this book, and it always talks about how, ultimately you get to make the choice to be happy.
Right.
Right. And once you're happy, you can make somebody else happy, or you can do for others. And so after losing a daughter, like, I couldn't imagine having to deal with that traumatic type of incident. So after that happens, you say you're in that dark place. Like, how do you get out of it? And then ultimately, how do you still wake up every day and still get to pick and choose happiness?
Right. So that's a great question, man. And I'm happy that you asked that question. So number one, therapy. You got to open up to therapy, right? And through therapy, you're introduced to a lot of tools that you can use. And the resources that you can use. If I knew then what I know now, my daughter would be here. Right? So you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? But also understanding the reality of having the opportunity to be here. So I'm blessed to have gone through what I went through with my daughter. I'm blessed to be alive. I'm blessed I'm blessed that God chose me to be here at this moment on this planet, right? Because there were our ancestors before us, and there's some living spirits out there waiting to come, and they're waiting for some people here to leave, right? So I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed that God gave me the opportunity to have my daughter. So you got to look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
You know, before I didn't look at it in that perspective, and it was hard for me to come to terms with losing my daughter. It's still very tough.
Of course.
But I'm extremely blessed that I had the opportunity to have a daughter and experience her for 15 years. Some people have a daughter and they only experience her for a moment.
Yeah.
Maybe a month.
It's true.
Maybe, a year. I had her for 15 years. I'm thankful for God for giving me her. I'm thankful that I went through that moment because I could not be here to even go through that moment. I'm just so blessed to be here and understand that I'm thankful for my existence. And so I think once we realize that we got to be thankful for our existence, it will make accepting a lot of the journey, the tough journey, the part of the journey that's tough. It will help you understand that your journey is just what it is, a journey of life. But how can you be blessed to be alive, but not understand that with that comes good and bad?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So having good and bad come, you can't be blessed about life, but then be mad about the
life
journey.
gives you.
What life gives you.
Yeah.
You got it, right? So
Accept it all.
So with that different perception that I have and the perspective that I have, it has helped me take steps towards the level of happiness that I'm at. We did a talk on my podcast again, the Bailey and Buck podcast, and we talked about where I was in my happiness. And if happiness is, you can go from 1 to 10, right? 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. Majority of the world is between 3 and 7, right? Majority of us live between the range of 3 and 7.
Right.
Sometimes you can get to 10, like you have a special birthday or a child is born, but at some point you go back down.
Right.
Right. And vice versa. You can at some point maybe get to 1. Maybe there's a family member that dies, or something bad happens, but you got to get back up, right? So the majority is between 3 and 7. Just losing my daughter, on my podcast, I said I just don't ever see myself getting to 10 again, in any situation, because it's like there's a part of my brain that always reminds me, it's just like, your daughter's, how could you be a 10? How could you be so happy your daughter's gone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to work through that part.
Yeah.
I believe one day as I get more knowledge about life, that I will get to 10. I believe one day, but right now it's very tough. It's been, it's 2002, it's 2005 now. We're talking about 3 years that I've been gone, that my daughter's been gone, and so I can't speak for the future. But I can say that right now, 10, as I mentioned, 10 is very foggy and blurry right now for me.
We like to ask all of our guests this, and it's Mount Rushmore, and it's 4 people that have influenced you to be who you are right now at this moment, that has got you here of influence. So whether it's coaches, teammates, parents, whatever. So who is on your Mount Rushmore of influence that's helped Robert Bailey be exactly who he is today?
Wow, that's a great one. First of all, I wouldn't have played football or I wouldn't have been who I became as a football player if it wasn't for my Little League coaches. My college coach, my high school coach, all those, they got the product, but my Little League coaches made the product.
I love that. You don't
never heard that.
We haven't gotten little league coach, huh?
Yeah, my little league coaches. Yeah, they're the ones that grabbed me by my face mask, screaming at me so close, spit was coming on my face, taught me how to be tough, get back up, let's run that play. Robert, you're the only one that's going to make the tackle. All those days, right? I played at a park called Richmond Park, and it was in a tough neighborhood, majority of African American and some Hispanic kids. So you didn't have time to be soft. But those coaches really sculpted me into the player that I became through toughness. It all starting in Little League. So they are part of that Mount Rushmore.
Okay, that's one.
They're a part of that Mount Rushmore. I would also just growing up and watching Mike Tyson I got drafted to the Rams. I got a chance to hang out with him just because we had the same friends, and we would hang out for a few years. I hung out with him, and he just helped me in terms of confidence and putting fear in your opponent, and that Mike Tyson, like they talk about the Mamba mentality. There was a Mike Tyson mentality that I play with. Then I think
we haven't had a Mike Tyson either.
Never.
Yeah. Mike Tyson. Yeah. I grew up during that time. I grew up
the all black.
Mike Tyson was my guy. Okay. Then I would say an Einstein, like the inventors. I was just really intrigued about people who invented things and how they checked the boxes and how they looked at the path most taken and decided I'm not going to take the path most taken. And because of creating a new path, they invented something that no one else in the world thought about. Out of the millions and millions of people on the planet, no one thought about, but that person thought about that moment. Hence the reason I picked up the football and ran it back for a touchdown. I always looked for a moment to make my mark. Yeah. So I made sure as I go about talking to kids, I talk about checking the box of everything. So as long as you check the box of every possible, you control the controllables, right? You'll be successful. If you don't check every box, that's where failure comes, right? So I would say just the inventors, the people who invented things. I was just intrigued by those kind of people. The other person, I would say the last person would be, I don't want to say my mother, because I think that's a standard that goes without saying. Whoever the hierarchy was in my home, which was my mother.
It's also your Mount Rushmore, so
you can do whatever you want.
Sculpted and invented how you want.
Right.
Be an inventor.
100%. I would say, but my oldest brother, Richard, was a student that I remember when I was 7 years old. He was maybe 10 years old, 11, and I would peek into his room and he was reading multiple books at the same time. So on his bed, he would have 3 or 4 books and they were all open and he would read them at the same time. And I just thought that was incredible. Even as a kid, and to this day, I'm 57 years old. I still think it's incredible. There are people out there that can read. You know, you read a book and you stick with that book until you finish it.
Correct.
There are people who read multiple books at the same time, regardless if they're fiction or nonfiction. That's what he did. And so he was also a big influence on my life. And because of his success, I felt like I had to be successful. And so I watched him, and I always wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
And today he's an ENT plastic surgeon. He's extremely successful. He lives in Vegas and has his own practice and does all that. But he was, from within my family, he was a huge influence in my life. You know, growing up through divorce and all that, he was a steady figure that kept me in line.
Hey man, that's a great Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I think I could have been there. Peanut Punch inventor, creator. Boom, punch that mic.
But when you think about the inventors, I mean, those are special people, man.
They are. They are.
If you really think about them,
yeah,
they're special.
I think that was some of the most unique answers I've ever heard, and it was awesome. Robert, you have been one amazing guest.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your answers. They were very thoughtful in how you spoke, and it just was, I don't think we've had a guest like that with some of your answers.
I appreciate it.
That was awesome.
Hey, man, thank you for all our viewers and listeners out there, wherever you pick up your podcast, whether it's iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for always tuning in. Make sure you give us a rating, like, share, subscribe. Give us a couple reviews. Peanut loves going back on the computer and just typing out all the answers to all your questions. And you can definitely still check us out on the NFL page. The NFL page is NFL's YouTube channel. Correct?
Yeah.
Something like that.
That was it.
Check it out.
It's just NFL YouTube page. You can just check us out. NFL Players Second Acts. I'm Peanut Tillman. That's Mr. Harper. That's Mr. Robert.
Thank you so much.
We will see you guys later.
KennedyKids.org.
We out.
There it is.
Yep.